There were certain things that were normalized, and we grew up seeing them as normal. And then you become a parent and you're like, nah, I don't want this for my child. That is what we're going to be discussing today. Hi, you're welcome to Queen Sixtus TV, where we have conversations about faith, motherhood, growth, wellness, finance, and lifestyle. As a firstborn child, now a parent, there are certain things that I didn't grow up feeling okay with, and I intend not to pass it on to my first child. And I am saying it because I know that if we put in more effort in certain things, it will definitely change the outcome or the result of people's growth and approach in life. The first one is punishing the first child for the mistake of the younger ones, or punishing the oldest child for the mistake of the younger ones. You know, the thing of, oh, you were there. Why didn't you do something? And I am speaking from my position as a mom of two under five. Now, this is a child that is still trying to navigate his own path or her own path. And then he or she is already carrying the responsibility of being there for another child. I don't know if that makes sense. But for me, first of all, I understand the place of the firstborn being an example or being a good example. I understand the place of if you get it right with your first, the others will be easier to train because they just follow, they look up to the first and then they imitate. But then also, I know that that comes with a lot of responsibility and burden on the first child, especially when there is no balance to it. For me, I don't believe that the oldest child should carry the consequences of every other person's misbehavior or whatever wrongdoing. No, I believe that every child needs individual understanding, individual correction, and individual grace. I want him to know that being the first does not mean carrying unfair blame or consequences of what he did not even do in the first place. My second point will be not allowing the younger ones have their way. You know this thing where parents are, oh, you leave it for him now. He's your younger one. Just let him have it. Stand up for him now. He's your younger one. Sometimes I catch myself doing such, but I also intentionally correct myself by asking questions like, who was there first? Who took it first? Who owns the toy? Or just trying to be fair. Because most times the younger one gets excuses why the older one gets expectations. But fairness matters. I want my child to grow up learning that maturity is not silence and responsibility does not mean being overlooked. And yes, I agree that the younger ones need patience, but the older ones needs protection as well. And in all, I am for fairness. Another point is I will not expect perfection. Many firstborns grow up becoming perfectionists because they learned that mistakes equals disappointment and they cannot afford to fail because others are looking up to them. And so they overthink, they overwork, they overperform, and sometimes overcompensate. Sometimes they are ambitious, but they're not doing the things they love because they are afraid. They cannot afford to fail. They cannot afford to disappoint their parents. But then I don't want my child to grow up feeling like loving him has to be earned. I want him to understand that progress is beautiful too. And by the grace of God, I will try and help him learn how to go through a process thoroughly, whatever that means and whatever that looks like. I want him to know that trying matters, learning also matters, and rest matters. And mistakes does not reduce his worth. Another thing I will do as a firstborn parent is help my child not to rush his life. Because not every child needs to grow up fast. And not every strong child is okay. Sometimes the maturity we celebrate in children is simply survival. I want my child to enjoy being little. I want him to enjoy being a child and do the things that children love doing without the pressure of having to take on responsibility too quickly and grow up too fast. I know that this is the season. They say they grow up too fast, and this childhood is a season. And I want him to enjoy this season to his fullest. And that means I will teach him how to slow down because a lot of firstborns don't know how to slow down. They are just on the go, 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 go. I want him to learn rest early. I want him to learn joy early. I want him to learn balance early. Another thing I'll teach him is to love himself too, to care for others without abandoning himself. I am a big advocate of loving others as you love yourself. And so, in the same measure, you love others, you have to love yourself because you cannot pour from an empty cup. I will teach him to lead without carrying everybody's emotional needs, to nurture without abandoning his own needs. And also that he too deserves love. He deserves care. He deserves gentleness. And he deserves love, not just from others, but from himself. And while I don't support unhealthy pressure, I also want my first child to understand the beauty of being first. Because spiritually and biologically, I believe every firstborn have that leadership ability in them, but it's just to nurture and to guide them in the appropriate way. I want him to understand that leadership is not control. I want him to lead with kindness. I want him to guide with wisdom and to know that strength is not emotional suppression. I want him to be the kind of older sibling that leads with clarity and safety and not fear. And yes, I believe many parents work with what they know, but healing means becoming aware and choosing differently. And no, that does not make me a perfect parent or a perfect mother. It's just me parenting from experience and choosing not to continue with patterns that I think are not healthy. I want my children to grow up feeling loved and not burdened, feeling guided and not pressured. And maybe this generation of firstborns will have a different experience. They will come out being whole and not wounded. If this video spoke to you, whether you are a firstborn, a parent, or someone healing from childhood trauma, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone raising children intentionally because wholesome children become wholesome adults. Till I come your way again, stay blessed. Bye.